Hi, it's 8 o'clock, so we're going to get started. This is Geoff with Real Progressives. Got to give it a few moments, give time for people to come on. Today we're going to be talking about the immorality of a for-profit healthcare system, which is exactly what we have here in the United States. So I'm going to give it a few moments. As you come on, say hi, give a shout out, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to your enemies, if you have them. Sandy, how you doing? April, good to see you. Now they're starting to come on. How you doing? Excellent. Barbara, Mark. Hi, April. So as I was saying, I'm not going to start just yet, but tonight I want to really drive home why the for-profit healthcare system is immoral and must be abolished. I've touched upon this to various degrees of depth over the last 6 weeks or so, and I put a few more links up there that, again, it's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what is out there, what is going on, and what kind of things are they pushing. But you know, we'll get to all that. In the meantime, get yourself some popcorn, get a beverage. Of course, now I really want popcorn and a beverage. Damn it. You know, hello. Fully agree, Matthew. Absolutely. Neoliberal propaganda report. Sometimes yes, but not always. The one thing they definitely get wrong is the economics. NPR does not do economics very well. But that doesn't mean that 100% of what they do is 100% garbage. All right, we've got quite a few people on right now. Give it a few more moments. Everyone get comfortable. I will take this moment to say that next week is Valentine's Day. So next week I will be taping something, and the tape will go live. I'm not foregoing my my Valentine's Day evening. So I will tape something in advance, and it will be played live on Wednesday night. Okay. We got Joe. The camera's wobbly. It had me thinking my vertical came back. Yeah, I got to get a new stand for the camera. You know, it was pretty sturdy when I first got it, but now that it's attached to the headphones, because I think I get better audio that way, it definitely it definitely wobbles a little bit. The weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Stephanie Kelton on NPR tomorrow at 11. Excellent. Excellent. All right, so we're going to get started. I want to begin, as I try to do, you know, with just an overview of what we're talking about here. For-profit healthcare. Hi, Molly. For-profit healthcare is exactly that. It is for profit. It's one thing to say that we want to have insurance companies, we want to have pharmaceutical companies, we want to have all the medical manufacturer companies, we want to have all these things. And we want you to be in the business of healthcare and taking care of sickness and injury. But if you're a private enterprise, you're in the business of making money. You're basically McDonald's. Your only thought is to make money. That's it. And if we're going capitalist, for-profit models for healthcare, you have to make the most money you possibly can. That's the deal. That's the point. And if that's the case, then there's no way that you can possibly say that patients are number one. There's no possible way you can say that you're in it to cure people, that you're in it to get people to be better. Can't do it. There's just no way. So if you're in it for profit, if that's your business model, you have no business being in healthcare. You want to be able to sell me a car? Fine, I don't need a car. You want to sell me a house? I can rent. You want to sell me a PS3? I don't need one. Sell me things that I want. Sell me things that I would like to have. And we can have competition, and we can have the capitalist system, we can have the free market, we can have all these things for things that don't fundamentally matter to life or death. They matter to quality of life. They matter to means with which we can entertain ourselves and enrich our lives with all manner of different things. They fill in the blanks. And that's fine. And for all that, we can have a capitalist market. And even within that framework, we have to have rules of the road. Because free markets have to be free and equitable, otherwise they're not actually free. So there will have to be regulations, there will have to be oversight, and you can make as much money as you are able to under that system, allowing for competition, allowing for up-and-comers. You have the best product? Prove it. Because here's another guy coming up who says he's got the best product. I want to check that out. And that's only going to happen if we have a free market society that is regulated by an institution that is looking out for everyone, not just for themselves. And that has to be the federal government. Now that's fine for widgets. That's fine for restaurants. That's fine for things that are not necessary for human life. Healthcare cannot be part of a capitalist system. It cannot be part of a for-profit free market solution for healthcare. My life and my death cannot be tied to your profit margins. You cannot be buying a second house or a yacht or a private jet on my back. That is not acceptable. And we as a society will determine what is acceptable and what is not. You, Mr. Capitalist, can have an opinion, but you cannot run the table. And you have been running the table for quite some time. And I'm done with you at that table. So what we need is a system whereby we have doctors, we have nurses, we have hospitals, we have pharmaceutical companies, we have medical manufacturer companies. All these people are going to be in it to cure it. They are going to be in it to make sure that you are healthy. This is a system that we do not have right now, but we could. We could. Why can we? In the way it is right now, if you want to be able to get better, you have to flip the bill. You or someone else. You either have to pay for it out of your own pocket with your own money, or you have to have an insurance plan, and the insurance company picks up it. And who pays for that deductible? Maybe you pay for it completely out of your own pocket, or you have a job and they pay the lion's share and you pay a little bit of it. But someone is paying. Someone is paying. And every one of those people that are paying, dollars are scarce to them. You only have as much money as you can earn. You only have as much money as you can borrow, as much as you can beg, as much as you can steal. Same thing if you're a corporation. Same thing if you own a business. Only as much as you can get your hands on. You don't create it. You earn it. You borrow it. It is, in all those instances, scarce for those institutions, for those people. But who is it not scarce for? Money is no longer tied to gold. Money is no longer tied to anything. Money in and of itself is an abstract concept now. We use it because we have to. Because the owner of the dollar, the manufacturer of the dollar, the monopoly holder of the dollar is the federal government. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution states that the Congress, and only Congress, creates the currency, sets its value, meaning it's going to set it to gold or something else, or nothing. Right now it's a fiat currency, and it enforces the need for this currency through taxation. You use the US dollar. You, everyone here watching and everyone you've ever met, you use the US dollar because you must. Because you need it to pay your taxes. You don't need it for anything else. It's convenient to use it for everything else, but it's not fundamentally necessary. You can make deals across the board. You don't want to be able to pay your rent in US dollars? Find someone that will give you housing in exchange for something else. If you find that person, great, you've done it. You don't need US dollars for housing. Now find someone who wants to be able to get you a car. And you don't want to pay them in US dollars, but you've got something else that they want and they are willing to trade. Fair enough. You now have housing and a car. What else can you do? Well, you need food. You're going to find someone who's going to provision you with food for some other goods and services that you have. Do all this. If you can. Good luck to you. God love you. I hope you succeed. But in the modern economy, good luck. But you can technically have all your needs and wants satisfied through essentially what amounts to barter. But good luck. Because there's one thing that you can't barter for. Your tax obligation to the United States government. They will not accept chickens, massages, anything. Doesn't matter what you have. They don't want it. They don't need it. They want you using their currency, and they found a way to make sure that you will use it. They will make sure you use US dollars or you will be punished. You will be imprisoned. You will have your wages garnished. They will seize your house. They will seize your assets. And if you're okay with that, fair enough. I don't know anyone that's okay with that. So you're now in the business of getting US dollars. You are now in the business of earning US dollars. So now that you're in that business, now you can suddenly use those dollars for anything else because everyone else is in the same business. You go to McDonald's, God help you if you go to McDonald's. Bad analogy, I don't know why it came to mind. But fine, you go to McDonald's and you want to get a Big Mac. God help you. They want US dollars in exchange for that Big Mac. Because they have a tax obligation. The McDonald's Corporation has a tax obligation. They need US dollars. You want to buy shoes. You're going to go to a local store that sells shoes. They want their payment in US dollars. Not because they need US dollars for anything. They need it for their tax obligation. The owner of the store needs to be able to have US dollars to pay their taxes. And since everyone needs dollars to pay their taxes, and everyone is taking this currency as a means of exchange, well then fine. We're now using US dollars to buy everything, anything and everything. In the United States, we use US dollars. But it's because the federal government demands it. And it's become a very convenient means of exchange of goods and services. So the US government, federal government, can create as much money as it needs to, as much money as it wants. It doesn't matter how much anything costs to a entity like the federal government. They can create as much money as it needs. It creates the money, it sets the value, and it demands need for that currency through taxation. So they don't need a revenue stream. You need a revenue stream. I need a revenue stream. Everyone else needs a revenue stream. For anything else you want to purchase, you need revenue. And that includes health care. The federal government doesn't need a revenue stream. It needs a backbone. It needs a morality check. What it needs is to decide that this is what's important, this is what we're going to spend on, this is how much we're going to spend it, and then create the money to spend. That's it. That's all it takes. And it doesn't matter how much it costs. There is something that matters, though, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I want to bring this back around. To the federal government, it means nothing how much something costs. To you, it does. So here's what we have with a for-profit healthcare system. Pharmaceuticals are in it to make money. So first and foremost, they're only going to make medications for things that they think they can make money off of. So right off the top, rare diseases do not get medications. A lot of rare diseases will find uses of other medications for the side effects of which actually help these other things. But you don't get any actual research. You don't get any research that will benefit you. You are an afterthought. They come up with a medication, doesn't do the job that they intended to do, but there's a side effect for it that actually turns out to help you with whatever it is you got going on. Great, now you have a medication. But no one went looking for it. No one intended to help you. It happened by accident. So fine, they can make some money off of this. Great. But there's no concerted effort to cure your disease. There's no concerted effort to even give you a medication that'll help you limp along with the rest of us. There's no concerted effort on your behalf at all. At all. Because they can't make enough money off of you. So that's one. Second is they get to charge whatever they want. It's whatever the market will bear. So as long as they can get people to pay for the cost of what they're selling, they will keep doing it. They will keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And they will raise the rates. They do it all the time. They do it with insulin. One of the most important things, if you're a diabetic, type 1 diabetic, you need insulin. And it is bloody expensive to find insulin. There are people that ration their insulin that they need on a daily basis, multiple times a day in many cases. And they don't have the funds to be able to pay for it. Because what used to be $25 30 years ago is now $3,500. Because they can get away with it. Because either you're going to pay for it, or you've got an insurance company who doesn't want to pay that, but they have a contract they don't want to lose, so they will pay for it, and you don't see the cost, but it's still costing. Someone's making a shitload of money, and they're doing it off of your health, and your sickness, and your death. Hospitals will pay it, insurance companies will pay it, because they have contracts. They don't want to lose the contract. It's a cost-benefit analysis. I spend a lot here, and I don't want to, but I'm going to make a lot here with this contract. For you, it's just dollars. You're just dollar signs to them. That is it. Dollar signs. And no one stops them. There's a law that says that Medicare, our single-payer system here in the United States, which doesn't cover everything by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a step in the right direction. But they are mandated by law to not be able to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies. Why? Why would you be able to have this huge, enormous pool of patients and not allow them to collectively bargain for how much they pay for something? I mean, if you haven't figured that out, it's money. The pharmaceutical companies want it. They're in a position to be able to grab it, take it, steal it. They will spend this much money buying politicians, buying scientists, so they can make this much money in profit. This much is an obscene amount of money to you and I, but to them it's pittance. This amount of money allows them to make this much. They're fine spending $100 million. An amount so obscene, it makes me want to throw up in my mouth to realize what they're spending it on. And these people, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, medical manufacturing companies, they don't create the dollar. They don't. They spend this amount of money, not because they're able to create it, but because they're able to take it. The federal government spends this money into existence. They create it, and they get to choose who they give it to. Just like you, if you had a printing press in your basement and you could print as much money as you wanted, and no one is telling you that you have to spread it evenly, you're able to say, I'm going to give it to whoever I want. But you don't. You give it to some people and not to others. And you come up with all kinds of sick, disgusting, outdated, outmoded, as if it was ever good back then, bullshit reasons why it's good for you that we do it this way. They call it trickle down. We have to spend money on the 1%. We have to give money here. It's good for the economy. Because if they do well, you'll do well. Mr. Paul Ryan is so excited. His nipples are hard. He has a constituent who's making an extra $1.50 in her paycheck, which will allow her to afford her Costco membership. Color me impressed. Most people, if they spend a lot of money at Costco, that already covers their Costco membership. But if someone is excited enough that $1.50 is going to cover their Costco membership, probably doesn't have that much money to spend at Costco in the first place. So I'm not impressed with trickle down. Trickle down for 40 years is, I'm quoting Bill Maher, pissing on us. They're pissing on us and expecting that we're going to go, damn, this is awesome. We love being pissed on so much that we allowed someone in the Oval Office who just loves a golden shower, a nice Russian golden shower. We apparently love being pissed on. That is what trickle-down economics is. It is a lie. It is a myth. But it kind of makes sense from a certain point of view. It's easy to understand if I had all this money, because we're all nice people, right? If I had all this money and I was in business, well, of course I would pay my employees a lot of money. Of course I would do all these things. Of course I would invest in my business. Of course I would open up new factories and new plants and hire more workers. Of course I would. It kind of makes sense from a certain point of view. If you consider yourself to be a good person and this is what you would do if you were in that position. Problem is, you're not in that position. The people they're trying to sell this to are not in that position. The people who are being sold this lie don't understand that you're not going to be investing in your business, no matter how much money you get, if you're not expecting anyone to come into your store to buy what you have. I could be a wonderful manufacturer of computer parts. I could have the best factory with the best trained workers. The problem is, if the economy sucks and people don't have disposable income that they decide that they want to be able to spend, and that you can't get enough of those people with disposable income to spend on you, you can have a great warehouse, a wonderful factory, great workers, great employees, and your warehouse is full of product that you can't move, that you can't push, because people aren't buying. And if they're not buying because your product sucks and they're buying all kinds of stuff everywhere else, that's one thing. But if they're not buying because they have economic scarcity, they are afraid, they don't have security, their wages are low and they know it, and it's been low for decades and they know it, and the cost of food goes up and the cost of utilities go up and my rent keeps going up and my healthcare bills keep going up. Why would I spend money on a computer if I honestly don't think I'm ever going to see that money again? If I honestly don't think I'm ever going to be able to pay it off? If I'm looking down the road of, well, if I spend that money on a computer, in the next year or so, I'm not going to have that kind of disposable cash again. And what if my car goes? Well, I need my car, so I'm going to save that money. What if my house needs a new roof? I can't keep going into debt to pay these things. I need economic security before I'm going to take whatever disposable income I might have and spend it on your store, sir. So your store is not moving product. Your store is not making money. Your store is not producing sales. So you lay off workers. But if we all had a slice of the pie, if we all had economic security, if we all had good paying jobs, if we all had health care, and we could have a reasonable amount of expectation that I'm going to be able to save what I need for the future and have disposable income, well, now it's a boom economy. People are going to start moving their product. Because the economy grows from the bottom up, not from the top down. Never has. Ever. So part of this economic security is abandoning the for-profit healthcare model. Because part of our economic insecurity is healthcare. It is one of the leading causes of bankruptcies. It is one of the leading causes of homelessness. 42,000 people die every year due to lack of access to health care. Not health insurance, to health care. Because you can have health insurance and you can still be one accident away from going under. It happens all the time. Health insurance is no guarantee of security. Assuming, of course, you can afford it. Assuming, of course, it's not junk insurance that pays for nothing because the deductibles are so high that you'll never get a chance to use it. But man, don't you love the privilege of paying your monthly allotment to be able to have something that you don't ever get to use. You better hope to God that bus hits you just so you could actually start using your health care. So this is what we're dealing with. A for-profit healthcare model. They don't care if you get well. In fact, in many cases, they don't want you to. There's no diabetic cure in pill form because they don't want to give you one. How many times have I come across articles that say, we're close, we're close, we're close. If only we could get some funding. Well, who's going to give the funding to cure it? Because whoever puts up that kind of money is going to have no long-term return on their investment. Takes $1 trillion in investment to cure type 2 diabetes? Fantastic. Now everyone is cured. Where's your revenue stream coming from now? No one's going to do it. No one's going to pony up that kind of money because they want to make money. That's the business that they're in. But the federal government that needs no revenue stream could do it like that. $1 trillion? Spend it into the economy, give it to the people that want to cure it? Done. Oh, it's going to be $2 trillion? No problem. Done. Well, we spent the $2 trillion. It turns out it's actually going to be another $4 trillion. It's a little trickier than we thought. Fine. Done. And you want to have an investigation into whether or not the people that are spending this are actually good at their jobs or know what they're doing and not scamming you? Fine. Do that. How much is that going to cost? $1 trillion. Done. It isn't about the money. The money is absolutely immaterial. It's about resources. In a fiat economy, the only thing that matters is resources. Do we have enough resources to produce goods and services sufficient to the cause? We have all this money. Are there goods and services on hand for this money to purchase? That's it. The only thing we need to worry about is inflation, and that is a matter of real resources. Do we have the resources in infrastructure, in people, in things that are real, that are tangible, things that have actual intrinsic value? Do we have enough of that to create a productive enough society such that the money we are creating is not causing an inflationary issue? Inflation being too many dollars chasing too few goods. We all have money sufficient to buy a Lamborghini. Well, suddenly the cost of Lamborghinis go up. That's inflation. And at that point, we have things we can do. Taxation is one of the ways we deal with inflation. Money is a demand. We spend it into the economy. Now everyone has this demand and they want to use this demand. Well, that may be a problem, so we'll impose a tax and we will suck some of that demand back. It's not to pay for things. Your federal taxes don't go to pay for things. So please stop having the arguments and the fights that say, I don't want my tax dollars to go towards X, Y, and Z. Because your tax dollars aren't going to X, Y, and Z. Your tax dollars are for something fundamentally different. And you've been lied to for decades to get you to believe that they are, so that you will have those fights. Because you are useful to the oligarchs. If your only argument is, I don't want my tax dollars going towards this, you are useful to them. You're shooting yourself in the foot, you're randomly shooting people around you, and you're useful to them. Your federal tax dollars don't go to pay for shit. Your federal taxes are for driving the currency. It's the reason you have it. It's the reason you need it. It has other uses as well, like I just said, taking demand back, taking money out of the economy so that we don't have an inflationary issue. So don't have those fights anymore. Or if you're going to have that fight, be on the other side. Federal taxes do not pay for federal programs. It's as simple as that. So the federal government can pay for anything that it needs, including research into diseases. And it can pay whatever is needed. We don't have to federalize doctors and nurses. We don't have to federalize pharmaceutical companies. We can pay them what we want. And if we want, we can pay them really well. I am not advocating for a second that doctors and pharmaceutical executives and the scientists and all these people, I'm not arguing for a second that they should not make a really good living, because the service that they are providing is immeasurable. And their compensation should reflect that. Just like teachers. Doctors, nurses, teachers, scientists, everyone that works towards the public good should get amazing salaries. Teachers that are educating the next generation. What kind of country do you want to live in? These people should not be fighting for scraps. These people should be amongst the highest paid in the country. What their wage is should reflect the importance of their job. Doctors, nurses, oh my God, their job is saving your life. What is that worth to you? And this is the point, because what it is worth to you when it is your life on the line, and these individuals have you over a barrel, what won't you pay to be able to save your life? You can't negotiate faithfully under those conditions. Your life is on the line. You're going to die. What kind of a system is that? So the federal government, put in power to pay to the public purpose, should pony up the entirety of the cost. Because it is the moral thing to do, and it is possible. Beyond all reasoning, it is possible. There is nothing stopping them. The only reason they don't, the only reason, is because when you and I and everyone else has economic security, everyone else that has been profiting off of our economic insecurity will lose. Now here's the thing, and this is the part that pisses me off even more. They don't have to lose that much. Instead of making $10 billion, maybe you're only going to make $100 million. Boo the fuck who. I can't get my brain around this. The reason they don't want this to happen is because they want to make billions. Why? Because they can. Because it's what they're addicted to. They're addicted to money, and that has led to an addiction of power. And it is more powerful to make billions instead of millions. Billions and people die, but you got billions. Millions and everyone lives, everyone thrives, everyone builds a great society, and you get to benefit from that too. But your addiction won't let you do it. You will not relinquish the power because of your addiction. So we have to take your power. Because it is our country too. We are not serfs. We are not servants. And we will not be bowed or cowed to your greed anymore. So there's all manner of reasons why for-profit is, for lack of a better word, evil. It's based on fear. It's based on the fear of scarcity. It is based on the fear that there just isn't enough. So I need to take as much as I can now, while I can. Because eventually, when the bad times start again, I need to make sure that I have enough. And you'll wrap that fear up in all manner of sweet-sounding little rationalizations. It's for my family. I need it for my family. I'm doing good in the community. Look at all the altruistic things I do in the community. Yeah, you made billions of dollars and you spent a few million and you call that charity. And what do we get for your charity? 45,000 people die every year. 220 at a minimum average die through medical errors. It is the third leading cause of death in this country. You know what's number 1 and 2? Cancer and heart disease. Number 3, done exclusively because of for-profit health models for healthcare. Because they're looking to spend the least amount and be able to suck the most amount. Fee for service. It's immoral. It's costly. And when that cost is burdened by you and I, then that is untenable. You and I cannot go into debt ad nauseum. You and I cannot keep borrowing money from banks. It will destroy us. We don't have the capacity to shoulder this responsibility on our own. While they keep jacking up the price. Every year the cost goes up. Every year. And for no other reason than because they can and they want to. Because they have created a system that will keep paying. And we can't just opt out. It's our lives and our deaths. We can't just say no. We can't shop somewhere else. At least most of us can't. There is actually a story, I posted a link, of some guy who actually did do what Republicans say we all need to do. Be better consumers of healthcare and know what things cost. Well, he priced it out. And he got himself a hip replacement in Belgium for $13,000. Here it would have been $100,000 to $300,000. The joint part alone would have been $13,000, including airfare. He got the whole kit and caboodle in Belgium for $13,000. That's messed up. And how many people have the time and the knowledge to be able to do that? I'll tell you right here, right now, most hospitals aren't going to be able to tell you how much something is going to cost. Because they will charge you for every last piece. Down to the last bit of gauze they will charge you for. Nothing is included. Everything is itemized on a bill. That's what for-profit gets you. Everyone looking to make more profit. That's all they want. Profit. Money. You and I, we want life. We want liberty. We want the pursuit of happiness. And all they want is money. Our money. And how much? Well, apparently fucking all of it. They won't be satisfied until they've sucked the last of it. But that's what we get. That's what we get for our inability to stand up and say, stop. Just stop it. We can't afford this because we'll have to raise revenue. Stop it. Stop it. Well, we're going to have to cut some programs because of the hole in the deficit. Stop it. The deficit is only the difference between what the federal government spends versus what it takes back in taxes. And since we know that taxes don't pay for anything, then the deficit is immaterial. It doesn't matter. It only matters where they spent the money. It doesn't matter how much they spent. Did they invest that money in our future, the country's future? Did they invest in education, in healthcare, in infrastructure? Did they invest in jobs? Did they invest in the ability to have all this money that they're spending be warmly received with goods and services at the other end of the day? And are they investing in the future to make sure that all these resources remain vital and productive? Are we a productive society? Social Security is not going bankrupt. How could it? It's funded by the federal fucking government. Backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. It is not funded by you and I. You haven't been spending into it. You have not paid into Social Security. You've just paid your taxes. That's it. And you are still owed all that money. I understand the reasoning, the rationale why the politicians at the time wanted you to believe that you were paying into something so that you wouldn't have to call it an entitlement. You wouldn't have to call it a handout. I paid into this. It is mine. I get that. It's an easy argument to wrap your head around. My head was wrapped around that for years and years and years. But it just ain't so. It just ain't so. The minute we were taken off the gold standard in 1971, took about 2 years for it to go into full effect. So let's say 1973. The minute Nixon took us off and we were finally free of the Bretton Woods Agreement, where every other developed nation in the world pegged their currency to the US dollar and we pegged our dollar to gold. Once we got rid of that, we had policy space a mile wide. We could have done anything so long as we had the resources. Someone wants to tell me that we can't do something because we don't have the resources to do it? Well, first you're going to have to prove that. Prove to me that we don't have the resources to do X, Y, and Z. And if you prove it, and there are multiple experts that will stipulate that that is the case, fair enough. But we're not done yet. Because now the question becomes, can we marshal our resources to create that? Can we import it from another country? Because as a net importer, we get goods and services from the rest of the world. They use their resources and we purchase it and bring it here. Do we have the ability to import the goods and services to satisfy what we're looking to do? If the answer is yes, great. Thank you very much for your time. How much is it going to cost? Fantastic. Done. We only don't get to do what we want when we don't have the resources to accomplish it, nor the ability to create those resources. I mean, until those conditions are satisfied, we can do it. We simply need to wake up enough people who have been lied to specifically so that they can be taken advantage of. You work your ass off. 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. You pay ungodly amounts of money for healthcare, for food, for rent, for transportation, for college education for your kids. Forget about college education. High school education. Technically it's free, but it's your property taxes that are paying for it. Why? Let the federal government foot the bill for everything. Free up the policy space of the states. You pay and you pay and you pay and you pay until you die. And they do it so that they can just sit back and reap the rewards. There is only so much money in the economy. It can be raised, it can be lowered, but there is only so much in existence. And the system exists to make sure that the lion's share of what has been created goes this way. And you get shafted every time. And they've got you so desperate that every crumb, every $1.50 in your paycheck, you will actually be grateful for. Well, wait until you wake up and realize everything that they're taking from you. And that everything they give you is on the tip of this. This is by design. Poverty in America is by design. Austerity is by design. You are being used. All of you, me, you, everyone. And everyone that still thinks that federal taxes pay for something, everyone that still says that I don't want my tax dollars going to this, everyone that is so upset about a military parade that Donald Trump wants to have, and they think that the best argument is, that's a bad use of our tax dollars. You need to be a better steward of our money. No! There's tons of reasons not to have a military-style parade in the United States. Not the least of which is, with this guy in the office, that's fascism. That is a physical manifestation of fascism. I don't want it just for that reason alone. I do not want this man in charge of the military. I don't. But it has nothing to do with how much it will cost. Not one bit. So please, wake up as many people as you can. Tell them that the reason healthcare costs go up is not because we use it more than other countries. It's because the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies and the medical manufacturing companies and a lot of the hospitals and an increasing number of doctors, not all of them, not most of them, but an increasing number of doctors, they just keep charging more because they can. Competition does not exist in the healthcare field the way you think it does. One company starts charging $10,000 for a procedure when it just needs to be $1,000. Well, someone just said $10,000 and someone paid it. And instead of the other companies saying, well, hey, I want to get your business, I'm going to charge you less. That's the way competition is supposed to work, right? But no. That is not how competition works in the healthcare field. Someone charges $10,000 when it used to be $1,000. Now everyone is charging $10,000 because they can. Now I'm not going to sit here and say that that's out and out collusion. I'm not saying they're calling each other and saying this is what they're doing. For all I know, they are. I don't know. But what I can tell you unequivocally is that once the envelope gets pushed, it never gets pushed back, ever. Now everyone is charging this kind of money. Now everyone expects that kind of payment. And to those insurance companies that can negotiate those costs down, they'll take that cost and put it onto someone else who will pay. People who are uninsured always pay the most. That's the way it works. That's competition. That's the free market healthcare solution for healthcare. And everyone that's part of that system and doesn't want single payer, they'll cry, socialism, socialism! Okay, here's a trade-off. You think it's socialism? You think that's a horrible thing? I think 45,000 people dying every year because they can't afford access to health care. That's a horrible thing. I think 220,000 people dying every year due to medical errors because of a for-profit healthcare system. I think that's a terrible thing. You fix that. You fix it right now, because I can fix it right now. I can fix it by telling Congress, pay for single-payer healthcare. Do it right now. Write a bill. Don't put a pay for. Make sure that all debt instruments are satisfied. Find out how much it's going to cost and pay it. And suddenly, problem solved. Everyone is covered. No one is left out. You need a doctor for anything, a hangnail to cancer. Done. It is done. You spend sufficiently to staff your hospital safely so that we have enough nurses. And it doesn't matter, because hospitals will not have to be balancing their budgets. They will have their coffers filled with whatever they think it's going to cost from the federal government. You don't work for the government, Mr. Doctor. You work for the hospital. The hospital charges the government, and the government pays it. And yes, there could be negotiations back and forth in terms of what something should cost. But there's no fiscal reason why we shouldn't pay whatever it takes. My solution fixes everything. Mr. Capitalist, you fix it that fast. You fix it and still make the crazy kinds of profits you want. Because we don't have the money to make that happen. We cannot buy insurance and the cost of healthcare the way it's being charged right now. We cannot finance this problem. But the government can. And it can do it any moment. It can do it now. Or 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 now, or now, or now. But what is it doing now? It's dropping bombs. All kinds of money for bombs. All kinds of money for the military. All kinds of money for anything that they want to spend their money on. Because those that already had the power, that amassed all the wealth, decided they wanted to spend a portion of that wealth buying political power, buying politicians, to make sure that all future laws shifted their way. So we have to fight this. And rule number 1, power will not be relinquished, it must be taken. Rule number 2, it cannot be taken by just a few people. It has to be taken with a critical mass. So right now, our fundamental problem is that not enough people understand how they've been screwed. They know they've been screwed. That's the easy argument. They know they've been screwed. They know. It's just a harder sell to get them to understand how and why. They think it's the healthcare system that's screwing them. It's the oligarchs. It's the oligarchs that have purchased the healthcare system, that have purchased Congress. So we need to wake up. Your job, as always, the homework I assign, talk to people. Write letters, send them to the media centers, send them to your newspapers, send them to CBS and CNN and MSNBC and Fox, and just send it everywhere. I want you to inundate these people. I want you to call in to radio stations. I want you to have conversations with your friends. I want you to be on the front lines of waking people up. Share this stream. Find Stephanie Kelton's streams. Share that. Share Steve Grumbine's. Share Joe Firestone. Share Warren Mosler. Share all these people. that understand MMT, modern monetary theory, that understand where the dollar comes from, who creates it, what are taxes actually used for. Make sure that you have enough knowledge that you can teach. As Steve Grumbine says, each one, teach one. Find a way to get this information into as many hands as possible. Our mission is to reach critical mass. I guarantee you Bernie Sanders understands that. I also guarantee you that Bernie Sanders did not have the support of the nation. Bernie Sanders did not have a whole group of millions and millions and millions of people who understood. Bernie Sanders understood that if he went and said what I'm saying right now, when he did not have the name recognition, that he would have been eaten alive in the media. Because who are the media? They're all purchased by the oligarchs. And the only thing that's going to move the oligarchs is us, all of us. We get out and we push, and we push, and we push, and we don't stop. Don't stop. Just keep going. You're having a conversation with someone, you're not reaching them, fine, move on. Find someone else. Don't waste your time on someone that doesn't want to learn. Move on to the person that does and doesn't know it yet. This is what we need to do. So please go out and do that. Everyone asks me all the time, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Learn the economics and then go out and teach it. Preach it. Give a sermon on the mount. Do whatever you got to do. Raise your hands. Do it. Be theatrical. I don't care. Being theatrical is a wonderful way to reach people. Do it with authenticity. Do it with love. Do it with any tool that you have at your disposal, except violence. I will renounce you if you choose violence. Anything short of that, do it. This is your country. This is your life. This is your death. This is your family. These are your friends. Fight for them. Stand up for them. Stand up for each other. We can do this. We can do this. No, Guillaume, not even a little violence. I'm sorry, man. But we can do this. And we have to. So with that, I'm done. As I said at the top of the hour, next week is a little shopping. I love you, Guillaume. No physical contact, please. Next week is Valentine's Day. And I intend to spend that with my wife. So I'm going to video my next one, and I'm going to have it done as a live stream. As the Beatles once did in '66, I am not going on tour. The tape will go on tour. But I love you guys. I really do. And it means a lot to me that you tune in. It means a lot to me that you share. But the message, please get the message out. We can have what we need. And we could have it today if we had critical mass. The politicians won't do it for themselves. They won't do it by themselves. They're quite happy. They're quite content with business as usual. So push them. Push them hard. Don't shove them. Don't shove them. But push them. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Thanks for sharing. Good night.